They gave us advice. If you fall through the lake, don't panic. Obviously.
Yeah.
You just hold yourself there and blow your whistle. And I was thinking, about day one, about half an hour, I'm thinking, I haven't seen anyone for about 2 hours,
Let's face it, we all know the importance of a good, balanced nutrition diet. But the truth is, it can get really challenging to get all the nutrients you need every single day when you're running a very busy lifestyle or even running your own business. And if you're anything like me, you probably don't want to resort to a multivitamin pill that is filled with chemicals, binders, and artificial ingredients. This is why I'm so glad that I found Vivo Life's Thrive. It's a revolutionary health supplement that has all the power of a multivitamin, but that is made with 100% plant-based and natural ingredients that you can actually pronounce and actually recognize. Things like kale, turmeric, baobab, or even spinach. It's been backed by over 50 independent studies and was actually formulated by a nutritionist. That's why each scoop holds the antioxidant equivalent of 10 servings of fruit and vegetables, along with 15 essential minerals and vitamins, including B12, vitamin D, and zinc. The truth is, you just never know what your day is going to be like. That's why I just make it really easy and simple for myself. I add a scoop in either some water, my shakes, or my tea. It's delicious, it's nutritious, and it gets me focused for the rest of the day, and my energy levels have never been better. And here's the best part in it all. Vivo Life was so confident in the quality of the product that they took over 5 years to design, that if you're not satisfied after 30 days, they'll give you a full refund, no questions asked, and you can even keep the product. If you want to try Thrive for yourself, you can go over to www.vivolife.co.uk and use the promo code MARK to get 10% off your first order.
Podcasting is one of the most effective ways to grow your business, build an audience, and give your brand a voice. But the idea of launching can frankly feel a little daunting. What kind of gear or software should you use? What if you don't like the sound of your own voice? How to get great guests to come on the show? And how do you get people to actually listen once you've published your podcast? Well, you could go and find out on your own through trial and error, and that might take you forever. Or you could save yourself a ton of time and a ton of money by grabbing a spot on my brand new online video course, How to Go From Naught to Launch, that you can take from the comfort of your own home. That's right, I've made the process of launching a successful podcast from scratch super easy. So if you're ready and you want to stop wasting time, head over to theunconventionalist.com, click on online courses, and grab yourself a seat and use the discount code PODCASTTRIBE to get 20% off the entire program. I can't wait to see you in there, but more importantly, I can't wait to listen to your podcast. Hi, and welcome back to the Unconventionalist podcast. I'm your host, Mark Leruste, and this is the show about what it's really like to turn your message into a movement. Now, we're at that time of the year when we're all thinking about, oh my gosh, what should be our resolutions and what should we be doing to kick off 2020? And often we come up with this same excuse that we keep on bumping on, and that is time. I don't have the time. How do I find the time to do the things I really want to do? And if I've got kids and I've got a job and I've got my own business, how the hell can I even find any time? Of course, today I've got Rachel Forbes who's going to be coming in, who's done some extraordinary feats and has managed to juggle more than one thing while also having a family and so much more. Rachel,
Hi,
welcome
Mark.
to the show.
Thank you very much.
We jumped straight in, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So people often get surprised by that. And the reason why I do that is I find that all the best chit chat is what I wish I had on the show.
Yeah.
So since then, it's really awkward. People are like, oh my God, yeah, it's going to get done. And in the spotlight. Yeah,
We're in.
cool.
Yeah.
No, but it was so exciting because we literally spoke on the phone like 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
know.
And I was like, stop.
Yeah.
Come on the show.
Yeah. That was really scary. I'm thinking, you don't even know who I am. And
Yeah, but that's why I love, like most people who come on the show, like I don't actually do that much in background because I find that if you do, then it really kind of narrows down the conversation that you could actually have if we're just discovering for the first time what this is all about.
Yeah, sure.
Cool. Did you find the studio okay?
Yeah, it's a very trendy, cool place. I
Yeah.
like it. Yeah. I'm in the big smoke for the day. It's a whole day out.
I know, right? But and what I love about having you today, especially in this time of the year and coming to the end of season 14, it's to talk about this concept of time.
Yeah.
Like, right, everybody's now thinking about, okay, 2020 is going to be the year that I get in shape, that I go run that marathon, that I, get my stuff together, whatever it is. And yet it feels like everyone seems to say, I don't have time.
Totally.
But you have a take on that?
I do.
Yeah.
So I had a bit of a kind of pivotal, life-changing experience earlier this year.
Yeah.
Already seems like longer ago than that.
Yeah.
And when I came back from there, I just really reevaluated, and actually while I was out there, reevaluated my life. I thought that I was going to have a life-changing moment out there, and I didn't have that bolt from the blue. That didn't happen at all, but it was actually the reflection when I came back where it changed. And I was trying to find a term for it because I kind of wanted to spread the word and tell my friends that you can do these things. And I coined this sort of finding time hashtag type thing because it really works. Because what I did was in my preparation, in my training, and actually to go out and do what I did, I had to find time. And I'm a normal person. I'm not a person that goes out and does mega ultra marathons every weekend. I've got kids, I work, I've got all the normal stresses that
how many kids have you got?
I've got 3 kids.
Because congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, for still being alive.
As a parent of a kid soon to be 2, or maybe by the time this comes out I would have had a second kid. Congratulations. I say congratulations to anybody who's got a kid. 1, 2, 3, 5. I met someone who's got 7 kids. Can you imagine?
Big congratulations.
And he was like, after 3, it's just economy of scales. It just gets easier. And I was like, okay.
Well, the clothes get worn out.
That's right. Yeah. But just going back before that, so you had a long kind of career in the military, in the army.
I'd say an accidentally long career.
Yeah.
So I joined the army for 3 years because basically I got to the end of uni. I was on that kind of train where you get to school, you get to uni, you get towards the end of the uni and think, oh, what am I going to do now?
Sure.
I kind of just want to carry on partying, want to carry on doing sport.
Yeah.
So the army just seemed like a good idea. I literally fell into it. I don't have any army background in my family. My parents were supportive quietly. Yeah. They weren't madly keen on it. When my dad dropped me off, he said, just call me. I'll come and get you. I didn't even have a mobile phone. That's how long ago it was. He literally would have been straight up the motorway, whisked me out of there.
Yeah. So wait a second. So this is at the end of university. You had this like. So how do you remember? Like, did someone come to uni with like some flyers, or how did you even come across the idea of like?
This is a cool story actually. So I'm the oldest of all the grandchildren, and my grandmother was horrified that I said I was going to take a gap year. So to her, gap year meant this is it. She's going to drop out. She's off the run. She's not going to do anything, not going to make anything of her life. And she used to send me newspaper cuttings quite regularly, things that I should do with my life. And one of them was a gap year commission in the army. So I thought, well, why not give it a crack? So I went to be tested out for that. I wasn't very mature. They pointed out at the time, but amazingly, they said, we think after 3 years of being at university, we think you'll be okay for us. So I had that pass. I didn't really think about it until I got to the end of uni and thought, what am I going to do now? I've got this piece of paper.
What did you study?
Sports science.
Of course.
Yeah,
cool.
Highly intellectual.
Oh, no, but it's cool. It's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I ended up in the army, thanks to my grandmother.
There you go.
So
you joined the army and you had a 3-year plan.
Yeah.
Am I confusing stories? Or is it you that told me that you tasked your friends to get you to tell you that after 3 years to get you out?
Yeah, and they totally failed.
Yeah.
So 19 years later, I finally found my way out. But I kept doing it while I enjoyed it. I mean, it was awesome. I did loads of really cool stuff, things that I wouldn't have imagined I'd done. Did lots of traveling, met some amazing people, lifelong friends. Yeah. But it was time. At that stage, I had 2 kids.
And you had 2 kids while you were in the army? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was time to get out and get a grown-up job, really.
Wow. Okay. So we've had a few guests on the show who had a military background. And I'm always fascinated by, when you're part of this institution, this part of this organization, it feels like you've got very clear like roles almost, like what your uniforms, the hierarchy is quite defined. But then you transition out into civvy. Is that the expression for like civilians, right? Civvy. What was that like for you?
For me, it wasn't too bad because the job I went to was on a civilian military partnership contract. So I kind of had an easy ride out where half the workforce were military, so I understood their language. Yeah. And then the other half I had to learn pretty rapidly. Yeah. But I'm a pretty ordered person. I quite like to have a plan, quite like to research things. Okay. As long as I can do that, I'm okay. And I can deal with the mayhem around it, as long as in my own mind I know where I'm going and what I'm doing. Yeah.
So what were you doing? I mean, what can you talk about? What were you doing in the military then?
I started off in the artillery, which is big guns. Yeah. It was really very exciting and not very girly. It was great fun. I then went off. I did some work with young recruits doing training, which was really amazing actually to see the change in people and how well they responded to that. I then went off and flew helicopters for a few years, and then I came back and I worked with drones.
Wow.
So yeah, some pretty cool stuff.
What was one of your favourite parts?
Flying was amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a real honour to be able to do that.
Wow, that must have been quite scary though.
With me in the front seat. Yeah,
No, but like, where did fear have a place, if at all, in this whole process?
Fear of failure, I think, always has a big place, and that's something that I've always struggled with. You put yourself forward for something like the pilot's course, and it's 2 years, and it's quite negative reporting. You're under a lot of pressure. They lose a lot of people. They expect to lose a lot of people. So actually, that fear of failure, especially being the only female on the course, that kind of self-induced pressure, not from anybody else. It was my pressure to say, well, I've got to be better than everybody else in this course. I've got to get through it. I don't want to fail. I don't want to have to go back to my unit with my tail between my legs for people to say, wow, I didn't think you could do it.
Wow.
So it's self-induced, absolutely, and that's the biggest fear.
And it was interesting. I was listening to a conversation about Adam Grant was hosting on his podcast, Work Life, I think it's called, and they were talking about the Me Too movement, and in this particular instance, they were talking about, why is it that women in senior leadership or in senior positions, do they have more than men this sense of, what do they call it? Fraud factor, something like that. And the point they made, which I thought was interesting, was like, well, there's fewer women in that kind of position, or those kind of roles, right? So when you ended up getting through the course and graduating, I guess, from the 2 years, did you have that? Did you feel that kind of pressure of like, oh my gosh, like I feel like a fraud on the hill? Actually, no, like I'm here and I belong. And I
didn't actually at that stage when I went out and I deployed to Northern Ireland. So we were straight into it, and it was into operations. So it was all about your ability to fly. Okay. And there was the banter and all of the stuff that you would expect from the military. Sure. But I was out there to do the job. And I think since then, in my civilian career, much more that imposter syndrome has been a part of my psyche. And just, am I good enough to have got this job, to do this job, to lead these people? Wow. Whereas in the army, I just think it was a different environment, and you had to earn people's trust really quickly.
It's fascinating. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that in the army less so, in the civilian world?
I don't know, and it may just be my perception as well. It probably isn't actually a thing. It's just the way that I felt. And I guess after 19 years of being in a position which I really enjoyed, and I got it and I understood it, suddenly you're thrown out into this new environment. And it's much more, do I need to wear the right clothes to look like the right level, and all those things that before I just put on my combat pajamas and went to work with everyone else.
Fair enough. And so there's something that you decided to go and do. There's an epic adventure that you managed to do in Central Asia. Yeah. Tell us about that.
So I was looking for a challenge because I'd listened to a whole load of women speak about adventures that they'd done, and I knew I wanted to do something quite kind of extreme. But I only had a short time. I didn't mind where it was. Didn't hot, cold. It wasn't really on my radar. What I knew was it had to be something that I could fit in with work and with my kids. And social media, bless its heart, I stumbled across this opportunity to run 100 miles across a frozen lake in Outer Mongolia, a place I didn't even know where it was. I'm embarrassed to say. I didn't actually know where Outer Mongolia was on the map. So
yeah, like 90% of people listen to this. I live in
Probably
Kazakhstan. That's the only reason why I know kind of where it is. Wow. Okay. So you're sitting there and you've got this idea. And by the way, were there any particular women who inspired you that you heard talk? Was there someone you want to give a shout out?
Kiko Matthews.
Oh, you did?
I know you spoke to.
I think she's
up there.
Yeah. She's up there. Yeah. Kiko Matthews. Cool.
Yeah. I went to a really cool thing called Night of Adventure, where a whole series of women talked about their adventures, and they were really wide ranging. So from the Ice Maidens, the Army Girls who went to the North Pole, Kiko Matthews, various others. And a lot of them were massive. And I just thought, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I can't do it. And then I kind of gave myself a kick up the arse and thought, hang on, I can't do that, but I can do something. There must be something I can do. What can I do? And there's a girl called Sally Orange, a lady called Sally Orange, who's run marathons all over the world, dressed as different pieces of fruit, raising mental health awareness.
Really?
Amazing lady. And I thought, well, she's running marathons. So there is the spectrum. You don't have to do something. You don't have to row across the
Atlantic on your own.
No, that's mad.
You can also run around dressed up as a fruit. That's crazy. Okay, cool. And so what do you think about that 100-mile race struck a chord in you?
Before I did it, I met with one of the people who test piloted the race the year before. So the year I did it was the inaugural year. And this girl is a very amazing ultra runner. And I met her for a beer. And two things that she said to me in our very lengthy conversation where, firstly, one night I was so cold I thought I was going to die. And secondly, it was a life-changing experience. And I thought those two things just really captured me. And I thought, I want to be doing something. If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to leave my kids for 10, 12 days, it's got to be worthwhile. It's got to be a challenge. And if it's a life-changing experience, then that's really cool as well as going to a country that I really don't know anything about apart from it's cold and it's really sparsely populated.
Okay, cool. So then what? What's the next step? So then you go, okay, now I'm committed to this. How much time did you have?
Not very much. I signed up in November and the race was in March. And at that time I was doing 5K park run kind of when I could fit it around the kids' sports matches. Yeah. So I had a conversation with the MD of the race who said, oh, it's great, you want to be on board. So how many ultra marathons have you done? Oh, I haven't done any.
Had you run a marathon by then?
That's what he asked me next. No, the answer to that. And then he really tentatively said...
So your 5K park run was like... What?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'd run further in the army, but I'd never run a formal half marathon or anything.
Got it.
And I said, no, I've been in the army. I'll be fine. I'm used to hardship. I can get through this. And amazingly, he let me on.
So wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. So he must have seen something that like, okay, I'll give it a go. Because people listening to this can't really comprehend, right? What it means to run 100 miles. How many days did you have to do it?
So it's 4 days. So it's effectively roughly a marathon each day. Okay. On ice.
On ice. Okay.
On a frozen lake.
So it's not warm.
It's not warm.
Yeah. And where are you sleeping at night?
We had this amazing crew of Mongolians looking after us, and they put up gears every night.
On the ice?
Just on the side, because the lake is sacred, so you can't camp on it or wee on it or anything. So we had to go off to the side and just put up our little gears, and we stayed in those every night. So we were kind of packed in, and then we shared those with the Mongolians as well, which we called them the fire fairies, because they were meant to stoke up the fire through the night, but that got less as the night went on, because they drank a lot of vodka. But they were amazing. They looked after us. Yeah.
So so you've got 3 kids, and are you working at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got a job. You've got 3 kids, and you're now trying to prepare for these things. How do you prepare? How do you even start?
So obviously, loads of time. Whenever I was on the train, instead of working, my boss isn't listening. Yeah. I was doing loads of research. What shoes am I going to wear? What layers do I wear? How do I get my nutrition? All of those different things. Okay. And then I was running at sort of 5:30 in the morning in the dark.
So you'd get up. You'd sneak out of bed. Yeah. You'd have your shoes maybe ready next to your bed.
Downstairs.
Everything downstairs.
Sneak down. Sneak out the door. Yeah. Go for as far as I could. It was based on time. What time did I have to leave? If I was getting a train for work, or if I was driving work, or I was taking the kids to school. Okay. What was my timing? And then just run as far as I could in that time in the dark. And I come back and everyone else was still asleep.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Yeah. I remember Mark Wahlberg is the one that talks about this, about how he gets up at 4:30 in the morning and does his workout, and then has his prayer, and then comes back and takes his kid to school, and has a round of golf, I think. Yeah. And then comes back and picks up his... I mean, it's mad. But you see, like in my household, because I live in a small flat, the problem we have is if we get up out of bed and there's a creak or a sound in the floorboard, our daughter wakes up and it's game over. That's it.
I totally know where every creaky floorboard in the house is. I'm trying to sneak out.
But like, I've been telling my partner, because I haven't, again, this is why I love having you on the show, to talk about, like, I have this... I don't have the time. Yeah. Like, I find myself saying, but I just don't have the time. Like, there's always an excuse that I put forward before... my own health, my own, especially when it comes down to physical goals and that kind of stuff. Was it hard for you at first to wake up at 5:30? Yeah.
I mean, it was cold, and the thing that kept me going was having that goal. And I think that's really important, is to set a goal for yourself, because I was thinking, if I don't get up today, how am I going to feel on day 2 or day 3 when I've already run a marathon, which I've never run before, on ice, which I've never done before, and I slept in this ger, which is Mongolian yurt, and I'm creaking myself out of bed. I'm really going to regret not getting off my backside and going out for this run today.
Got it. So the stake was high.
Yeah.
Got it. So you had something that was like, the stake is high enough to sort of go, if I don't do this, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Love that. So, okay. So what I'm hearing is, it's kind of tip number 1. Find a goal where the stakes are high enough that there is going to be consequences to your inaction.
Yeah, that you really want. It has to be something. It doesn't have to be something as crazy as that. Yeah. It can be anything you want to do. But if I really believe you've got to have that goal, that purpose that drives you.
Yeah, 100%. So you get through the training, you get through Christmas time, New Year. Are you seeing yourself improve? Like, do you see your kind of rhythm running out? You're feeling a bit more comfortable?
I mean, I got injured like everybody does, and was strapped up and taking pills and all of the things that anybody that does loads of running was doing. And some advice that I got from my friends who I consulted who did ultra running and put me in touch with others was, firstly, you can't do it because you only signed up in November and you need a year to train for this. Okay. I said, well, that's
not
going to
help.
So, thank you.
Yeah.
But they said you need to do back-to-back runs. So at the weekends, I'd have to do a long run Saturday and a long run Sunday.
Okay.
And I did a 20-mile run with some ultra running people who are amazing, dragged me around that, which hurt. And I did a 130-miler, which really hurt.
Wow.
But I'm very thankful to David for dragging me around that, giving me his time.
Oh my gosh.
But it was squeezing it in. So I'd run 2 park run, do park run, and then run home. I'd run up to a hockey match, throw some clothes on up there, watch my son play hockey, and then run back. And it really is finding that time to squeeze it in and working out how can I do it. Not I can't, but there is always a way. And you just have to find what that way is and be really committed to it.
And did you feel there was some guilt that was happening around, like I'm dropping the ball. I'm putting, for those listening just on the audio, I'm putting air brackets. I'm dropping the ball with my family and my partner, my kids.
Not so much at 5:30 in the morning, because no one even noticed I'd been up from muddy trainers.
But you might be in pain. You might be more moody. I don't know.
I'm moody probably. Yeah.
So tell us about that guilt, because I think that's something that people deal with on a daily basis, especially with kids.
I think the biggest guilt was going away for 10 days, and I just thought, my kid's going to grow horns, or what's going to happen.
How old are they? Just to give some context.
So my youngest is 3, and the other 2 are 10 and 12.
Okay, got it.
So really kind of a big span of what they need.
Sure.
I don't think they really noticed that I'd gone, because life carries on for kids. They live in the day, which is a complete joy, and
every day's a new day, like a duck. Yeah.
And they were looked after. They were fed. They had extra time with their grandparents, and it was fine. It was totally fine. And I really just got in such a complete tears about it, thinking 10 days. Yeah. And I felt so guilty before I went. And when I came back and I realised that everything was just the same, everything was normal, that's when I really thought everyone should do this. It's really important to give them something to aspire to, something to be proud of their parents for. And if they can do that and look at you and think, well, my mum did that and that was quite cool, then that's fantastic.
What did the race ultimately become for you? Even before we get into the race itself, because I bet the race is on the outside, it's like, it's 100 miles, but I'm sure it's become much more than that. Yeah,
it really was life-changing. It sounds like a really kind of crass statement to make, but it really made me look at my own life. I was really proud of what I achieved by doing it. I genuinely didn't know I was going to finish it or not, or even finish the first day. Yeah. So I was proud that I'd done it, but I was proud of the way that I approached it and the planning that I put into it and the commitment that I put into it. And so, it really made me think about what I do for the future. Yeah. So you fly out. Yeah. Where did you fly into? Flew into Moscow first and then into Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital. Yeah. And so are you nervous at this point? Oh my God. I got to Heathrow and I met some of the team. We all had these T-shirts on so we could spot each other in Heathrow. And it's like, when I did Marathon des Sables and when I was in the Arctic. And I rang my boyfriend and said, I can't do it. Yeah. I am so out of my comfort zone. These people are just amazing. And I'm just a normal person turning up. I'm absolutely winging it. And I can't go. He just said, stop being an idiot and go and get on the breakfast. Plane. Yeah, get some. It's quite right. Yeah. You're probably hungry. Yeah. It's Holt, Tim Ferriss. I learned this from Tim Ferriss, where he said, it comes, I think, from maybe, I don't know. I think it was something, I forgot what it comes from, but it's called HALT. Am I hungry? Yes. Am I angry? Am I lonely? Am I tired? Exactly right. Like find those 4 things, check them off, and then see if you're still feeling the way you are. Probably all of those things. Yeah, right. Yeah. And not angry. So how many were you competing or taking part? 27 of us. So we had one guy cycling it on a mountain bike with studded tyres, and there was 10 people on skates, and the rest were runners. Oh, wow. Walkers. Okay. Do you have to have special shoes for running on ice? I know it's like a really super question. No, it's not a super question. I wore trainers, but I got quite thick-soled ones to have a bit of insulation from the cold, and then you put like a more flexible crampon type sort of spikes on the bottom of your shoes. Okay, so you've got your backpack, you're off, you get there, you're suddenly getting closer to the start line. Yeah. And there's you just did the physical reaction, right? There was so you, oh my God. And it's coming and it's bubbling. And then what's the energy like in the group just before the event? It was really funny because it was a group of really amazing people who'd all done different things from very different backgrounds and very different reasons for being there. Mm-hmm. And even to get to the lake was quite an epic. We had to fly up to a sort of small settlement at the south of the lake. And then we spent an entire day driving south to north up the lake. Okay. And as we kept going, thinking this is taking all day. Yeah. This is a really long way in a fleet of sort of old buses. Yeah. Having to stop to cross crevasses that were just popping up because the ice moves all the time. These the Mongolians are out poking them with a stick, working out where we're safe to cross. Oh my gosh. And we just suddenly realised the enormity of it, that there was no one else around. Yeah. The lake is absolutely vast. I mean, it's 20 odd miles across. and about 80 miles long. So you just suddenly realised that what we'd let ourselves in for, and it was really cold.
Wow.
So that whole journey, suddenly this really vibrant group that had all been having beers and chilling out, suddenly got really quiet. And that night before, you could tell there was a different tension, and people kind of sorting their kit and just trying to get sorted and organised. And the start line, everyone was really excited. There's kind of lots of whooping and everything, but there was definitely a huge amount of nerves just to get set off.
Did you recognize anything from your days in the army with that moment? Was there anything like that preparation before? Was there something that you felt familiar with, that you almost felt comfortable with?
I think for me it was, I knew where my kit was. I knew what I had in my bag was the right kit. You know, I'd spent a lot of time talking to Ali, this lady who'd been on the test pilot run, and I knew where my stuff was, so I needed it if there was a problem. I was pretty sure I was well prepared kit-wise.
Got it.
I wasn't well prepared physically.
Right.
And I knew that I'm mentally strong. I thought I could probably do it. And in my mind, I'd set myself, I'm really horribly competitive. And I had to really give myself talking to say, when we go, I'm not going to shoot off because I've never done this before. I've got to go slowly. Yeah. And one of the guys, his kit got lost in Moscow, like all his kit. And he went sort of internet viral. He actually did the whole thing in a pair of brogues and jeans.
No way.
So I did the first 10K walking with him because he said he was going to do the first 10K and then probably would stop. He's not that kind of bloke. He did the whole thing and is an absolute legend.
What, the whole 4 days?
Yeah.
In brogues and jeans?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I think he did go. I mean, people lent him spare sleeping bags and toothbrush and some thermals and things, but yeah.
Oh my god.
Brogues are not recommended for walking or running 100 miles.
More of the story, travel with your kit on, a spare kit on, just in case.
Have your trainers in your bag.
Trainers,
I think that's the advice for this year's race, is make sure any essential kit you have with you.
100%. So how did the first day go?
It was mind-blowing. The ice just changes all the time. It's incredibly beautiful. Sometimes as you put your foot down, you just hear this as it cracks, and that was really bad noise, but it cracks and it pings, and you see the white crack in the ice go.
My God.
And
you're running behind people?
At the very start, yes, but obviously skaters and the cyclists on the first day, the ice was really smooth at the start, so they shot off, and then there's just the runners doing their thing, and very quickly, actually, we really strung out. And if you think of the number of people that normally do a marathon, and the number of people that are out there doing a marathon, actually, we were really strung out. And on the second day, I ran by myself all day, and it was amazing. It was really incredible experience. I caught people up and...
Let me just clarify. It's a lake that's 100 miles long?
So the lake's about 80 miles long, but by the time you've sort of gone out, gone back into the camp, and then each day...
Do you kind of zigzag a little bit back? Yeah. Okay, got it.
And you've got to go around these big crevasses that suddenly appear. So it couldn't be an absolute accurate race. They have what they call an ice road, which is a safe lane that the locals use to cross the lake to go up and down, because it's much quicker than going around the land. But
you weren't scared of going through the ice?
Yeah, it was petrifying. Sometimes you could see down, you could see some dead fish in there, or you could see just this really thick ice. And it's weird. You just wouldn't do it, would you? You wouldn't normally go, I know, I'll go out on that icy lake and have a real run around. Yeah. So it was a really, really surreal experience. And that first day, it took a lot of getting used to, not to spend the whole time looking down and thinking, am I going to die? I mean, they gave us advice. If you fall through the lake, don't panic. No, obviously. Yeah. Just hold yourself there and blow your whistle. And I was thinking, about day one, about half an hour, thinking, I haven't seen anyone for about 2 hours. If I fall in the lake, who's going to come and rescue me? And blow my whistle. Just, I might as well make a tune on it and die happy. So, yeah.
And so how did you feel after day one?
Elated that I'd done it.
Yeah.
Amazed. Absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
But I was really in a mode where I knew I had to get food down me. I had to have some water. I had to sort my kit out for the next day, get everything sorted. And then we sort of set up this campfire, and everyone was sitting on logs around the campfire, and just great, amazing camaraderie, and talking about the next day and what was going to happen. But also, because we were so spread out, there was every single person, as they came over the line, there were people there congratulating them and cheering them. There's a really amazing atmosphere between the guys out there. Okay.
And so what were some of the pinnacle moments of those 4 days that you can remember now, that you can go back to and kind of walk us through? What was some of, was there a moment you felt you were going to give up? Was there a moment you got injured? Was there a moment that, you had a clarity? What were some of the big kind of moments? So
on day 2, when I ran by myself, and a lot of my training I'd done by myself, so I'm quite comfortable with that. And I don't run with headphones. I just like having that headspace. No one shouting, "Mommy," or "What's for tea?" or anything like that at me. It's just really nice. But I'd overtaken a couple of guys. I started quite at the back, started steady, which is my plan. And I'd overtaken some people. And I realised I was going to be the second runner in on the second day. And I got ridiculously emotional about it. And I was so chuffed with myself because I just hadn't ever dared to think about anything like that, anything competitive. So that for me was a really pivotal moment. And then the last day was really tough. There was quite a strong wind, which was biting cold. And I was running with one of the other guys. And we were really good at kind of looking after each other. So checking that we were both taking on food and drink and layers. And you're constantly on and off with different layers.
How much are you carrying?
Didn't carry a lot. You just had to carry the essential stuff. There was a checkpoint every 10K. So we took extra layers, hats, gloves, spare gloves, because obviously you drop your gloves, screwed. So you had to have spares. So like you have big, thick down gloves. You don't want to wear those all the time because then you get really hot. And you don't want to sweat. If you sweat, you can get icicles inside your clothes. All the boys had massive icicles on their beards and moustaches that they'd all been told to grow for protection. So it really was that cold. It was sort of minus 25 in the morning.
So that, because people have never experienced, I've been on minus 40, like they've been counting that. There's a burning sensation on the lungs that when you breathe in, you just feel this kind of cold. Did you feel that when you were running?
Yeah, especially in the morning. So I had one of those sort of buff type things on, and I had a mask as well, which I didn't end up using because it wasn't as cold as they thought it was going to be. It was unseasonably warm at minus 25. Okay. But you had that decision, do you breathe through the buff, which gets then quite wet and damp, and then that freezes on the outside and is really uncomfortable. So I had about 5 of those, I could keep changing them. Okay. But as the day warmed up, then you started taking clothes off. And then as you got through the day, you had to start putting them back on. But you were constantly having to change and
okay. So you stopped? Is that so you have to stop, change, get back up?
Tried not to stop. Tried to just take off the backpack, get kit out and do it as we were walking, go into a fast walk rather than a run and get sorted and organised. Because if you stop, A, how do you get going again? But B, you're going to get really cold. Okay. I didn't want to stop.
What were you thinking about? What was going through your head while you were running that kind of length of time?
A lot of it I was just thinking, whoa, this is amazing. This place is absolutely incredible. It's quite a spiritual place. It's a spiritual lake to the local people. And it is just this eerie silence, just nothing. There's no planes going over. There's no road. You get the occasional... No kids screaming. There was a group of people on motorbikes on Enfields that were doing some crazy trek, and they whizzed past us. You could hear them from about an hour away. It's a really weird, low rumbling noise. And then they came past. Yeah. So, just that feeling of, oh my God, this is amazing. And everywhere you look was different. One side was really craggy mountains. The other was kind of more rolling hills. The ice was constantly changing. You had these beautiful ice crystals that were like little flowers. You go tramping through them feeling really bad. It's like you're kind of running through Dad's flower bed and you're about to get told off. Yeah. So it's just a constant sensory overload. Yeah.
That's mad.
It was.
That's so cool. And walk us through the few minutes before the finish line.
So that was quite funny because I suddenly thought, well, I'm going to finish this race and I've got to do something. I've got to do something epic over the front 100 miles across the frozen lake. I've got to be epic. So I came up with this plan that I was going to dive across the line.
That in my head I was like, you didn't dive, did you? It's like the penguin dive.
Yeah, so bless him, Rich, that I was running with on that day, said, you go ahead and you'll finish and I'll do mine. And so, I kind of ran, striding, looking like I was not out of breath or emotional at all. Oh, I had a cry as well. I had a cry about sort of 10 minutes out and got that out of my system. It's like, oh, I've done it, I can't believe it. But I thought, I'm not doing that on the line. That's just really uncool. So, I ran up and I dived across the line. And I was actually wearing a backpack which had chest straps on it, buckles on the chest.
It stopped.
I really, really hurt. They just smashed into my chest. And the photographer went, that was so cool. I didn't get it. Can you do it again?
No.
I was like, well, I can. But so the one that's actually on the film and they use for the promo stuff is slightly more ginger than the first one because I'm like, oh, I know it's going to really hurt. Yeah. It looked quite cool. I think it looked cool.
100%. That's so cool.
But I'd suggest that if anyone else does it, they should come up with a different finishing style.
On your bum.
Yeah.
Go bum first. So, I mean, I guess one of the things I'm sure people are asking themselves, like, how did it feel? How did it feel to cross that line?
It was. I mean, like I said, I got emotional. It was amazing. I couldn't believe I'd done it. And I'd only done it through the support of my family at home. He'd allowed me to train and get there and looked after the kids while I was away. The guys who are out there, the Mongolians, the support team, the other guys racing, just completely, we all got each other through it. I felt proud of myself for doing it. I'd also raised quite a considerable amount of money for charity. So there was that driver as well. I had to
How
do
much
it
did you
for
raise
that.
in the end?
£6,000 for Walking with the Wounded.
Nice.
So that felt good as well, to know that I'd repaid the faith that people had in me, because they'd given me the money to sponsor me, and I could then go back and say, yes, I did it.
Yeah.
So a whole raft of emotions. I was exhausted.
I bet.
But yeah.
I bet. And so you come home.
Yeah.
And then you're going back to switching mode to like, you're a mum and you've got a job. I
literally went back to work the next day. Because I just didn't have the leave. And that's part of that guilt thing, is that every day of leave I should be spending with the kids. I'd actually bought some extra leave to do that. So I was thinking all these days are days that I can't spend with the kids. I have to farm them out to my grandparents or my parents or whoever else. So actually that was part of it. So I came back and I was at work the next day. But that whole coming down is really hard. It was surreal, because I think my experience of the army as well is that when you go away somewhere on a 6-month tour, and when you come back, nothing's really changed. You've changed. You've had an experience that's changed the way you look at life. And you come back and everybody else is still doing the same normal thing. Yeah. So, the email inbox was full. People are ringing, going, this meeting, can you be there? You need to be on this train. And you just come in and bang, life is straight back.
I know.
And it's all there. And that's when I had that sort of thinking of, okay, I've found the time to do this. How am I going to continue this? Because I've got to find this time for myself, because that's what's kept me sane, actually. It's been really good for my mental health.
Well, especially that you had a goal, and then that goal was now ticked. So then what? Right? So how do you actually find that momentum that you had? And actually, how did you? So what did you come up with? Like, did you find like your new mission is like to help other people find time for themselves?
So I really wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to. I wanted to try and inspire girls that they could do stuff. I think women particularly and young girls put so many blockers in front of them, reasons they can't do stuff. And a lot of it is there's things that women believe are reasons they can't. What if I get my period? What if I don't look cool out on the ice? What if I'm not as strong as the others? Not if I'm not as fast as the others? All of those kind of things, along with the finding time. So I just wanted to try and talk to people and tell people that you can do this, and it is okay to have that time for yourself. Yeah. So that was really important to me. But I also signed up for another challenge.
You did?
Yeah.
Can you talk about it?
Yeah. I've signed a non-disclosure about what the actual challenge is. It's a test pilot for a new race. Okay. It's somewhere cold, and it's cross-country skiing, which I've never done before. I need to learn how to do that before April.
Okay, cool. So look, as we come towards the end part of the interview, this is what I really want to kind of hone in. This is the idea that I think what I love about you saying is it feels like guilt and making time go hand in hand.
I think so.
Right. And so people listening to this, how can they feel less guilty about making time for themselves?
I think when you do it, you realise that it's okay. And it made me a better person. I think I'm more focused and I'm doing more stuff with the kids, because you just remember that each time slot you have is really precious, be that going for a run yourself or spending time with your kids. That awful thing that we all do of having your phone on while you're talking to your kids. And it's trying to just be really focused in on what you're doing, and then you won't feel as guilty because you've given them as much as you can. You can't give your kids 100% of your time, because that's not good for you. You've got to be your own person, and you give them something to look up to as well, and something to aspire to. I think they want to see you going out and doing stuff, whether it be walking up a hill, doing a big race. It doesn't really matter what it is, but they want to see you doing things for yourself. I really believe that.
I get that. What's interesting, I think I've spoken about this previously, I think, is, so I'm a dad, and my partner and I both run our own businesses, and we don't have any family around. And so I've found myself to really isolate myself from my friends and my group of peers, because I feel guilty that I know that if I don't come home one evening, that means my partner has to do the whole dinner, bath time, bedtime, and she tells me all the time, like, I am so happy if we do that, like, go and do it. But I don't do it. Yeah. I don't do it because I've got this guilt trip saying I've got to go home and help. And I wonder if there's almost something like, do you think there's a part of us that doesn't want to know that actually we're not indispensable?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, like I said, what if the kids grow horns? I'm like, they're fine. They're completely fine. So I think it is important that as a couple, if you're operating as a couple, then you've both got to have your own thing. So please, can I go and have some time to go and do my running or whatever it is I do? Yeah. But equally, I need to make sure that my boyfriend gets time to go and do the things he wants to do. Yeah. Because it has to be that balance, because otherwise it doesn't work. So you do have to have a balance, and it is hard. And there are people out there single parenting. Yeah. Everyone has their own challenges and their own demands on their time, but it is still possible. There is always that bit of time. When I doing yoga in the living room on the floor, my 3-year-old crawling all over me. So even if you can't leave the house, there's stuff you can do.
Yeah. Where do you start? Someone listening to this, and like, where can they start? Where's the first point of call if you want to start finding pockets of time for yourself? Like, where would you want to point them?
I just say, find something you want to do. So if it's 5 minutes of mindfulness, 10 minutes of yoga, find something that you want to do and a reason that you want to do it. And then set yourself a challenge. You set yourself a challenge of doing 3 yoga sessions a week or mindfulness every day for a week. And I can't remember how many days they say it is to set a habit. Is it 21 days or something?
So they say it takes 21 days to set a habit. And this comes from, the legend has it, that it comes from a surgeon who was, I think, during the First World War or the Second World War, who basically said that it took up to 21 days for wounded soldiers to acknowledge that they had a missing limb.
Okay.
That's where it came from. Like for the first 21 days, they still felt that they had a leg or an arm or what have you. And after 21 days, they got used to it. So that's where the 21-day habit comes from. But what I'm also hearing is find whatever time you need to get that new habit, and it will get a life of its own.
Yeah, and don't be harsh on yourself. If you can't do it, you can't do it. If the kids are ill or if work demands something else, then don't beat yourself up.
Yes.
But it's actually take that thing and then look back and reflect on it and just say, I did that today. And that's the joy of doing something really early in the morning. The rest of the day, you've got to crack on and do your other stuff. Yeah. And you think, but I got up this morning and went for a run.
Yeah.
I did it.
I
nailed that.
Do you know what's crazy? Here's the crazy thing. But when I moved to London in 2012, and I joined the Member Foundation as country manager, I used to get up at 5:30 every morning and go. Well, I say that maybe 4 times a week at least, and I'd go to the gym. Like, I'd smash a workout for about an hour, then I'd go back home, have breakfast, have a shower, then get to work by, 8 or something like that. I forgot what it was, 8:30. And I felt amazing. I was like, I've already climbed a mountain by the time I get to the office. Fast forward to like 2019. I'm lucky if I make myself a cup of tea in the morning, and I always, like, it's crazy. Like, one of my friends who's also come on the show, Arthur Pollins, he's a breathwork coach, right? And so I kind of pushed him to say, look, launch this academy, blah, 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 all this stuff. And so I'm part of it. I said to look, if you find 9 people to sign up, I'll be your 10th person. So you've already got 1, but you need to find 9 people. So you did it. We started this academy, I think, Monday, or whenever this is recorded. And he was like, find 2 minutes to do your breath work today. I still haven't found that 2 minutes. Because there's always something that I make up is more important than...
Oh, we're masters at procrastination, aren't we? It's so easy to do. And that's why you get it nailed in the morning's good. Don't beat yourself up about it. But also set your challenge that you can achieve and that you want to achieve. And if you've got a goal, it's so much easier. Yeah. Because you think, well, if I want to be able to do a downward dog for 2 minutes without collapsing in a heap, then work to that goal. Because if you've got the goal, you know it. And then when you get there, like, whoa, I've done it.
100%.
What next?
What is it going to take, do you think? This is a big question.
Okay, just warm me up for that one.
Yeah, what do you think it's going to take for us to live in a society where girls think, like boys, that anything's possible and that there is no reason why, because of how they identify themselves to be, would impact or hinder their ability to achieve whatever they want?
That's a big question.
It's a big question.
It is. I think a lot of it is around having role models and publicity. And you look at TV adventurers. How many female TV adventurers are there? Not many. If you name TV adventurers, they're mainly going to be men. Yeah. So it is, and there are some amazing women out there doing incredible things, and there are amazing extreme endurance athletes, women who are beating men on even terms. But it's not just about that. It is about that every day. It is about just going for a run, just going for a walk, doing whatever it is that floats your boat. And I think so. You've got to be careful. And that whole thing with women that, as you sort of alluded to before, you might have that absolute cream of the crop doing something totally amazing, but they seem very unobtainable to the normal person. And that's what I'm trying to get across, is that I'm not an ultra runner. I don't go out and do this all the time. I have just gone and done something a little bit crazy and realised that you can. And I couldn't go and do that every month because I can't commit to that level of training. Yeah. But I can go and do something else. And I've kept up my running. And I did a night race with my sister the other night, which was brilliant, just out in the woods running. She didn't have to do mad stuff, but again, my sister, she found the time to train for that, and she did it, and she's got some real challenges around her personal life. Yeah. So
it's crazy, and I think since becoming father to a daughter, become much more aware of the way that people talk around women, I think around girls, like even just subliminal messages that I'm going, whoa, that's crazy. Like that, I would never hear a guy say something like that. Like I remember I was going to take a photo with a friend, and she was like, oh, no, I haven't had a manicure, I haven't had my hair done yet. And I thought,
But what message? And what message that sent to your kid to say, "Oh, I can't have a photo because my hands aren't done."
Yeah.
But as a guy, you never hear that. As a guy, I would never have the idea of like, "Oh, I can't take a photo because my." And I thought these little things, these messages that we say unconsciously, shape the belief and the world and environment in which our girls grow up in.
Yep.
And I love that idea. That's a really simple thing. Let's have more role models. And in fact, I did a conscious decision. I think it was season 13. I started looking at the stats and numbers of my guests. Yeah, so I looked at the guests that I have on my show, and I realized there was at least 70 to 80% men were being interviewed. And I thought, I need to be proactive about this. So I consciously decided, okay, season 13 to season 14, I'm going to try and get more women on the show because we need to have a wide representation. And I think we're about 50-50.
That's brilliant.
For this season. I've got, touch wood, I've got to double check the numbers, but season 13, season 14, we've had about 50-50.
I feel a responsibility. I've got 3 boys and I want them to grow up thinking that there isn't a difference. Yes, there's a physical difference, but actually we can all do the same thing. And my 3-year-old the other day came to me and said, "Oh, girls aren't as good as boys." I was thinking, "Oh, I failed already."
Wow.
He's 3.
No,
but he's learned that from wherever.
And look, I'll say this, and the lights changed for some reason. Someone's put the light off in the corridor, I feel. So people are watching this again. What just happened? The lights just gone down. Like I say this now, and in all sincerity, I have, like, especially having seen my partner go through birth and giving birth, I'm like, there is zero doubt in my mind that women are the strongest sex. Like, there is zero doubt. Like, have you seen the stuff that she said? She's had to grow this human, then pop this human, then feed this human, then recover from having had this human, And
then do it again.
And then do it again. Yeah, and she's doing it again. We're doing it now whenever this comes out. So I guess the way I want to wrap up this interview, one of the first things I want to say is I want to acknowledge you. I genuinely want to say thank you for being a role model, so that a girl can actually look up and say, we don't have to be extraordinary superheroes to in order to achieve something. Some ordinary person who only had a few months to train did it. If you dedicate yourself to something, I also want to thank you for being a role model for mothers and and dads, obviously, but in this particular instance, because I think, Mum, I see this with my partner, and I see this with my friends who are mums. There's a whole other level of guilt trip that, as a dad, and most of my men, dad, I can't speak for everyone, just we don't have.
Absolutely.
Like, case in point, if my daughter has a fit, because she's like 2 years old now, it doesn't affect me a bit. Like, I can just be there, be next to her and say, "I'm sorry that you're going through this. It sounds like it's it doesn't affect me, like nothing in my body." My partner has to leave the room, go to another room, and it's probably like curling up in a ball going like, "What have I done? I'm a terrible mother," right? But there's a physicality. So you doing that, you're really showing the roadmap that it's possible, and that I love your message about find time.
Thank you.
Find it. It's not going to magically appear. We've all got 24 hours. We'll get the same thing. This is a question I asked all my guests. What's one thing that most people don't know about you?
I was asked this at the beginning of the Mongolian trip, and I said, I've got really small ears.
Okay. People can't see because we're hiding under there.
They are under here. These are massive.
Yeah. Cool. What does being unconventional mean to you?
I think it's about broadening horizons.
Yeah.
So I think having listened to a load of your podcasts, it's just different people doing different stuff and challenging and disrupting. And I just think that's awesome. That's what we should all strive to do. Just be different. Be individual.
I love that. And if I could give you Piccadilly Circus, the big screens in the middle of, and you could have one message that every girl would read on their way to school, to work, or women would be able to see, what would you want that one message to be?
I think it would be you. Don't afraid to be you. But, everyone's an individual. We all play a part in a team. Yeah. But be you. Be the strongest you that you can. I think if my children can do that, then that'll be kind of my biggest accolade. Cool.
I love that. Rachel Forbes, where can people find you online if they want to connect, continue this conversation, invite you to go and speak, to inspire people? Where can
I'm doing the foray into Instagram. Rachel is Finding Time. I'm on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook.
Cool. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you very much.
I love that conversation. It was amazing.
Lovely.
There you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. I'm always inspired when I meet humans who are able to just do stuff and then make it sound so simple, because it actually is when you start setting yourself up a goal and going after it. So may you take this message and be inspired in some way to find your own time to do whatever it is you want to do, and maybe find that goal that's going to drive you to do that. Until then, if you enjoyed it, then make sure to share it with a friend and subscribe over on YouTube and over on iTunes. It helps a lot, and it helps people find this show. So thank you so much for that. Until then, have yourself an amazing new year. You know what time it is. It's time to get those goals. It's time to make that time for that goal, and it's time to live your life meaningfully and purposefully.
I'll see you next time. Today's episode is brought to you by Vivo Life. Now, we all know the critical importance of protein to sustain a healthy diet. And I'd love to sit here and tell you that we should all get that from Whole Foods. But the truth is, like me, you might be living a busy lifestyle. And I'm often running from meeting to meeting. And I was looking for the perfect protein powder that could help me sustain my energy throughout the day and also recover after my workouts. Problem is, most proteins out there are filled with sweeteners, artificial flavoring, and ingredients. And because they're made from mostly dairy products, tend to not really agree with my digestive system. So that's why in 2014, I started exploring and experimenting with plant-based proteins. But the truth is, back then, the taste, the texture, the smell was just a little nasty. And so I just put up with it because I was looking for a plant-based protein that was good for your health, backed by science, and didn't do too much harm to the planet. But in 2017, something changed. I actually came across Vivo Life. Vivo Life make 100% natural health supplement and products that deliver straight to your door via carbon neutral delivery. Now, let me tell you, I was blown away. Not only did the protein taste great, it also looked amazing, it mixed well, but beyond that, it was by far the healthiest protein on the market that I could find. The reason being is that in every serving you get 25 grams of plant-based protein, and it's not just any protein, it's fermented protein, which is amazing for digestion. On top of that, you get 6 grams of branched-chain amino acids in each serving, and you also get some turmeric extract, which is phenomenal for anti-inflammatory properties, which helps me speed up my recovery. Now, what I usually do after a workout is I'll use some Madagascan vanilla or the salted maca caramel. Those are my 2 favorite flavors. I'll throw in a banana, maybe some dark leafy greens, some almond milk, some water, maybe some flax seeds, shake it all up, and it tastes amazing. So if you're looking for a healthy, natural, plant-based protein that's gonna get you results, tastes amazing, and does good for the planet, then head over to vivolife.co.uk and use the discount code MARK when you check out to get 10% off your first order. And remember, every purchase you make using the discount code helps support the Unconventionalists podcast. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for keeping the lights on in the studio. Hey gang, I wanted to remind you that if you want to launch your podcast and you don't want to spend years and a ton of money trying to figure out how and make mistakes along the way, then head over to unconventionalists.com, click on online courses, and make sure to enter the code PODCASTTRIBE to get 20% off my brand new online video program that's called How to Launch a Successful Podcast from Scratch. I've poured everything I know into that, my love, my heart, my knowledge, and my know-how for you. You can literally take that course from the comfort of your own home and launch a world-class podcast within days. So stop waiting, stop wasting time, head over to unconventionalists.com and get your ticket to my online video program now. I'll see you in there.